Good morning, everyone. Happy Saturday. I am late from what I told you that I would be here for doing my live, but I am doing it. I'm just very unorganized this morning, so bear with me. I'll be right back. Okay, so if you are watching lives or on the replay, say hi. Tell me where you're from. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm going to try to talk extra loud. I did buy a microphone that I think helped in the last video. And then when the video was over last time, I forgot to take it off my sweatshirt. And I have no idea where it ended up. So I hope you can hear me. I'm just going to pull this up on my computer so I can see some comments. And I have to admit, I'm like so unorganized this morning, and I apologize for that. But I wasn't able to do a live last week because I hurt my back, and I just wasn't able to sit for that long. And that's kind of why I'm behind today and so unorganized, and didn't do my live yesterday. Because I'm still having quite a bit of pain. So I'm hoping to make 2 cards to be able to sit through that. I think I'll be able to. I did a live the other day when I with Paper Pumpkin, because when I was feeling good. So I made it through that with no problem. Okay, so today, last time I did a live, it was 2 weeks ago. I wanted to talk about still taking time to be creative and some time for ourselves when we feel like our life is in chaos. Because I'm going to be honest, that's kind of how my life feels sometimes. I shared a little bit about, I have a husband who needs extra help. He's disabled. And so I feel a lot of times, I sit down, I start to craft, and he needs something, or the dog needs to go out, or something. There's always something. And so I feel like crafting sometimes I shouldn't do. But it's also I also feel like it's part of who I am, not just something that I do. And so I try to find ways to still fit in the craftiness, even when things are really chaotic. So last week we talked about kits, or the last video 2 weeks ago. And I made a couple cards with the 2 new kits that came out. I should have brought them out here. I don't have them with me. So we talked about kits. Another thing that I wanted to share with you that I do when times are chaotic or I feel like I am just not feeling the creativeness coming on. And that is to color. And I will take a piece of paper and just stamp a whole bunch of images. And then I will color them. And I find this super relaxing. For one thing, I'm not thinking about what's going to come next. I'm not worried about how this is going to fit onto the card. I'm not thinking about what cardstock I'm going to use. I'm not thinking about designer series papers or ribbons. I'm just coloring. And it doesn't matter if it's ever going to match anything. It doesn't matter if it's ever even going to be used on a card. It's just to take some time and to be a little bit creative. So I want to show you how I do this because, you can put a stamp on a block and you can just repeatedly stamp all over, and that works. But there is a quicker way, and I want to show you what I did. I, of course, did not bring any plain white paper out here with me to do this. I film in a different room than I actually craft in. But I'll show you what I did. So, we'll take the back side of this. So, this is the stamp positioner, Stampin' Up stamp positioner, if you're not familiar with it. And I took this. This was the first time I used this just a couple weeks ago. I bought it, set it aside, didn't think I needed it because I have other stamp positioners. But then I decided I should really try it. I have it. Why not use it? And I'm going to tell you, I fell in love with this. I really like how this works. I was surprised that I liked it as much as I do. So this is what I did. I took one of the stamp sets. So my paper is cut. This is just basic white paper. I have it cut at 8.5 by 5.5. So it's just half a sheet of paper. And then I took all the stamps that I wanted to color. And I laid them out. And just fit as many on here as I can, leaving a little bit of space. So if they do come out nice and I want to use them on a card, I can. There's a line here for halfway, so I make sure that I stay on the half of paper. That was important to me. And also make sure you're putting these face down, because I did some the wrong way and that doesn't work. So this is what I did. You get the idea. Just fill this in. And I'm going to just stop with that because I'm not actually going to stamp these. So then you take the top plate of the positioner, and this comes with two. I, of course, don't have the other one here. This is the bigger one, and then there's one that's a strip. So you just press it down, and it picks up your stamps. When your stamps are dry, your paper's probably going to move, but that's okay. Just put it back where it was. And then you can ink up your favorite ink. Ink these all up, flip them over, and then you just press that down to stamp them. Now, the nice thing about this, when you stamp and you have ink on your stamps, it doesn't move the paper. The paper did not move at all for me. So I was able to press a second time where I maybe had some parts that didn't pick up quite as well. But then after I did that, then I took my paper out, flipped it around, stamped it again. So that's how I got the same images on both sides of my paper. It's super quick way to do that. And gives you a whole sheet. So I did a sheet like with the Silly Old Friends. I did a sheet with, what is this? The Wild. This is the product of the month this month, which unfortunately I think maybe sold out. I did it with the strawberries and the blueberries. For this one, I used the narrow plate, and then you put it on with 2 hooks. I stamped it, moved it over 2 more hooks, stamped it again, moved it over, stamped it again, so that I got a line of images to color. So, and then since I was not thinking about what card I wanted, what I was going to do with it when I got done, I kind of played with the colors. Some of these I've already cut off, but this one, did I use Melon Mambo? I used Melon Mambo to color this one in. Blueberry Bushel, Azure Afternoon for this one. And I just played with different colors to see what I liked. I ended up with a Misty, Moonlight, and Strawberry Slush for most of them, because that's the colors that are in the paper that I'll most likely use this with. So that's how I crafted this week. That's all I got done all week long. So let's make some cards. I want to make a card. Let's start with the Winnie the Pooh one. The Silly Old Friends. Since that's what we're talking about, is the coloring. So I have these images. I'm going to kind of roughly cut this one out. I'm going to cut it out with the die. I love this set. I think this is so cute. And I never make cards for little kids, so I wasn't sure whether I should get it or not, but I'm really glad I did. So I'm going to bring in my little guy. I don't remember what this is called. Uh-oh. I know I have my dies here somewhere. Here they are. So, bring this one out. You can use washi tape or something to secure these a little bit, but honestly, I never do. I guess sometimes I do. I'm just gonna eye it and hope for the best. I find in this little one, I don't think they shift as much as in the big machine. And if you're just doing one image at a time, it's easier. Ooh, he came out perfect. Or as perfect as I'm ever gonna get. Okay, and then we need a sentiment. So for my sentiment, I am going to go from the Sweet Words and Labels. And I was thinking I'm going to do the sometimes when you go looking for happiness, happiness finds you. Somehow all of a sudden hearing a voice and it's my computer unmuted somehow. Okay. So, and I'm going to do this in Fussy Meadow. And I will be right back. I've got to grab paper for that. Okay. So I'm just going to do it on basic white. Vanilla probably would have been a better match, but I need to move these things around or I'm not going to be able to find them by the time I get done. I think I've showed this tray before, this little dish. This is, it's actually from a quilting shop, the Fat Quarter Shop. But it's magnetic. It's meant to hold pins, but it's really great for holding dies, small dies. So, which one did I say? Sometimes when you go looking for happiness. Here it is. I think that'll fit on there. So before I stamp it, let's figure out which of these dies. Look at all these shapes. I love this set. There's so many options in here. Let's see if this one if it will fit in here. Not quite. Need something a little bit bigger. Let's go one up. There we go. It's going to be the shape that we use. That will fit on there. So I'm just going to try to stamp right in the center. Oops. Sorry, I think I just bumped the camera with my head. Okay. And bring my little machine back in here and let's die cut that, and then we can get to assembling the card. I just realized I forgot my dimensionals. You know I can't make a card without dimensionals. Oh boy. I'm really bad today. Okay. Somewhere I have paper pumpkin ones. Okay, maybe we'll make it without today. Okay, so I have a piece of cardstock. This is Golden Glow, one of the in colors. I cut it at 4 1/4 by 11, so it's half a sheet. I have it scored already. I scored it at 5 1/2. I did it this way. I did it at 4 1/4 first, and then at 5 1/2. So this extra score line is going to be in the center. I'm going to use my black like a bone folder. And then on this extra score line, so we're folding on the 5 1/2 to make like a card. And then the extra one we're going to fold back the other way just to make a score, a line. So what we're making is a book fold card. So I'm going to glue this together and then it will open. There'll be a smaller area that opens from a traditional card. So it's just a really simple, really easy, not really a fancy fold, but a little bit of a different fold than what we normally do when you just want something just a little bit different. Okay, we're going to do it with this. Hell yeah. These lives are not working. So there we go. So that's how the base of the card. And then I have 2 pieces of designer series paper. This one is 1 inch by 4, and that's going to go on this book binding section. And this paper is from that suite. And this was hard paper to cut into. It seemed like I wanted both sides of the paper, which thankfully there's 2 of each. But I did have to sacrifice some pieces. I had to think hard about what I was going to do. So then this one is cut at 4 by 4. And I'll just center that on there. My card's not folded quite right. I probably didn't get it cut quite evenly. I'll fix that later. When I do that, I just take a guillotine trimmer and just trim that off just a little bit. Make the card a little bit smaller. I know I have dimensionals here somewhere. Hold on. Okay. So I cannot make a card without dimensionals. So I'm using the Golden Glow in color ribbon. And I am going to, I haven't opened this yet. Obviously, I did not make samples of these. Hi, Janet. Thanks for joining me today. Okay. I just cut it. Why can't I find it? Try that again. There we go. And I'm just going to do a really easy, quick bow right around here. Actually, I'm not even going to do a bow. I'm just going to do a knot because my bows never stay. So I'm going to do a knot, and then I'm going to use a little glue dot underneath it just to make sure it holds. Move this around. Get it centered. This is from a paper pumpkin kit, but it works. There is a glue on there. So I don't normally put glue dots underneath my bows, but this one, because it could so easily slide off, I thought just a little bit of assurance would be good on that one. So there we have the base of the card. I'm going to add our sentiment. I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. I brought a jar out here to use as my trash can. This is what I do when I'm cross stitching. I get a mason jar and set it next to me and just throw all my thread ends into it. I do it if I'm like crocheting granny squares too and have a lot of ends so they don't end up all over. So in cross stitching we call it our Ort jar. This will be my dimensional jar. Need to learn to keep them contained. I keep finding my dog walking around with one stuck to his nose. Okay, so there we have the sentiment, and then we're going to add poo on there, and just a super simple card. This is nothing fancy by any means, but when we're in times where life is busy or crazy or stressful, sometimes that's what we need, right? Okay, should have put this one down a little bit lower. There we go. So there we go, super simple card using something that I colored a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for a way to be creative and just don't want to do a card, just stamp out a whole bunch of images. In case you're just joining in, just stamp out a whole bunch of images and then sit and color them. I used the colors that were in the designer series paper because I knew that that's how I was going to use these. But on other ones, just pull out whatever colors you think might look good and just start coloring. It's such a relaxing way to be creative and fit in just a little bit of time. And if I get interrupted while I'm coloring, I don't get as frustrated as if I'm trying to make a project start to finish and I get interrupted. Not that life is an interruption, but you know what I mean. Okay, so we've got our first card done. So the other thing that I do that I find super relaxing, and I think people are probably going to argue this one with me, but I find it relaxing. I was doing it the other day and I was like, wow, my back doesn't hurt. And so I just kept going. I pulled out this designer series paper, the Homemade Sweetness. This is the one that goes with the mason jar that I've been using. I got hooked on that jar. And I took one of the 12 by 12 sheets with the jars on it, and I just started fussy cutting. And I ended up cutting the entire sheet up. And then I just grabbed a clear envelope. This is actually for stamps, but I use them for embellishments and stuff. And then just put them all in there and stuck them back in my envelope with the papers so that I could have them right with the paper and keep them close by. So that's fussy cutting is another way that you can be creative without making a card. Okay, I can't find, I know it's here because I don't think I stood up, the stamps for the sentiment that I just used. Jeez, I tell you, I really am unorganized, and here it is. I blame it on the pain medication I've been taking. There we go. Okay, so let's get Winnie the Pooh out of the way. Move all this out and start on our next card. So for our next card, I am going to use some of these images that I cut out. And I'm going to use the Filled with Sweetness dies. And let me grab the stamp set. the rare occasion I actually put something away. I put it away too soon. Okay, so we're going to use the Filled with Sweetness stamp set on this. Get this envelope. So this is actually a copy of a card that's on the Stampin' Up website. So it's a copy variation of one of the designer cards. So I have a piece of Misty Moonlight cut at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. So just a standard card base. This paper, I honestly did not think I was ever going to use this paper, but we are today. So, and I thought this was really cute, and that's why I am copying it. So my designer series paper is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. I considered putting another layer underneath it, a layer of white, for some extra contrast. And I can hear Janet on here going, yes, you should have done another layer. Janet is a layer person, but I wanted to keep this one simple. So just put it on there to center it. And then I'm going to pick up just a bunch of these jars that I have cut out. And I'm just going to kind of add them in here and hopefully make them look good. I get some strawberry in here. I really want this honey jar. I like this honey jar. Maybe in place of this one. I don't want these to look so arranged. There we go. That looks a little bit better. I want them to look a little bit less. So I'm going to attach these. I think I'm going to glue down the 3 that are behind, and then the other ones I'm going to pop up. So kind of put them on there. This is an easy project because there's like I'm not purposely lining them up, so it's kind of wherever they end up, they end up. A little bit less stressful, right? Okay, and then this one. And I think I'll put the strawberry jar there, the honey bear there. Let's do it the other way. And I'm going to put the sentiment down here. It's a good thing these cards are coming out like I had thought in my head, because I usually make samples ahead of time and I just didn't get to those this week. Janet says, yes, she is. Yeah, she's referring to my layer comment. She likes layers. So I'm going to put this one up higher so there's room for the sentiment. Okay. And then for the sentiment, I am going to use... I'm going to do the thank you. Looks like I didn't clean it. Good thing I'm using the same color. And for the dies, there are a lot of dies in here. This mason jar, I can't tell you how many times I've used it, and I have more ideas. So you're just going to see some more. But I love these labels. These labels are real versatile. You can use these with other stamp sets. I'm going to use this one right here. And I am going to, I hope I cut this big enough. Yes, I did. Okay, just big enough. I'm going to stamp this thank you. This is a piece of the designer series paper. I'm going to use Misty Moonlight. No, I take that back. I'm going to use Secret C. I want to make sure it shows up good. And I know Secret C will. Secret C is like the new black. I hope they never retire this color. There we go. That shows up good. And bring up my machine again. our label. So I'm just going to attach it right underneath here. Pop it up on dimensionals, of course. But before I do that, I'm going to use some the white twine or baker's twine. And I'm just going to tie a little bow on here. Okay, and we'll attach this to the front with dimensionals. There we go. Just make sure I don't put them somewhere where it's going to overlap. I'm not going to overlap very far, so I think I'm going to be okay. Where did this piece of plastic come from? I think it's from the other ribbon when I took the package off that. So there we go. Super easy, super simple. Something that I was able to prepare ahead of time by spending a little bit of time fussy cutting. And honestly, I want to say maybe I spent a half an hour just fussy cutting that entire 12 by 12 sheet. And look how many pieces it gave me. I mean, I'll be making cards for a long time with these, because most cards I wouldn't put this many on there. So it's just another way to be creative when you don't have time or don't feel like you can go a start to finish card. So those are the two cards for today. I want to thank you so much for joining me. This one needs to be glued down a little bit more. I'll take care of that. If you like these cards, these are very simple cards from what I normally do. But if you like my cards, make sure you follow me. I am going to start doing like a class to go. It's going to be a couple months before I have that ready, just with summer and a couple medical things we have coming out. So I'm aiming for August. So make sure you're following me so that you get notified of that. And thank you so much for joining me today. And I will see you. I'm going to try to be back at my normal time on Friday at 3:45 next week. So I will see you then. Thank you.